Welcome to Momo Tales.
In a quiet town, an old woodcarver named Geppetto lived alone in a small wooden house. His only joy came from carving puppets and playing with his tools. One day, he carved a little puppet boy out of a magical piece of wood. He named him Pinocchio and gave him a cheerful smile. Geppetto wished the puppet was real, so he wouldn't feel so lonely. Momo, his cheerful, sat beside him as he looked at the stars. "I wish this little puppet could become a real boy," Geppetto whispered with hope. Momo nodded and added, "He has a kind face. Maybe magic can hear us." As they stared at the sky, a soft light floated down through the window. A glowing fairy appeared, shining gently in the room. "I heard your wish," the fairy said kindly. "Because your heart is pure, I will bring this puppet to life." With a wave of her hand, the puppet blinked and smiled. Pinocchio had come to life, full of wonder and energy. "Can I talk?" Pinocchio asked, looking surprised. Momo clapped and said, "Yes, you're alive now, little buddy." The fairy smiled and said, "You are alive, Pinocchio, but to become a real boy, you must be kind, brave, and honest." Then she gently disappeared into the night. Geppetto hugged Pinocchio tightly, tears of joy in his eyes. Momo wrapped his arms around both of them, laughing. The next day, Geppetto sent Pinocchio to school with a little cap and books. Momo walked with him, humming a happy tune. But on the way, Pinocchio saw a puppet show and stopped. "Let's go see it," he said, curious and excited. "School first," Momo reminded him gently. But Pinocchio had already run toward the stage. The puppet master saw him and said, "Come join the show." Pinocchio loved the applause and stayed. Momo waited nervously outside the tent. He knew this wasn't a good idea. That night, the puppet master locked Pinocchio in a cage. "You'll perform for me forever," he laughed. Pinocchio cried, wishing he had gone to school. Momo sneaked into the tent and whispered, "I'll get you out." With a clever trick, Momo distracted the master and grabbed the key. Pinocchio was free again. "Thank you, Momo," Pinocchio said, hugging him tightly. "Let's go home." On their way back, they met a sly fox and a sneaky cat. "Want to be rich?" they asked with fake smiles. "Plant your coins in this magic field," said the fox. "They'll grow into a money tree." Momo raised an eyebrow. "Sounds fishy, Pinocchio." But Pinocchio didn't listen and gave them his coins. The fox and cat ran off, laughing. When nothing grew, Pinocchio realized he'd been tricked. "I should have listened to you," he told Momo sadly. Then Pinocchio's nose suddenly grew longer. "What's happening?" he shouted. Momo said, "Maybe you're not being honest with yourself." Just then, the fairy appeared again. "Every time you lie, your nose will grow," she said. "Honesty is the path to becoming real." Pinocchio promised to tell the truth from now on. The fairy smiled and vanished into the air. Later, Pinocchio and Momo saw a boy named Lampwick. He invited them to a place called Pleasure Island. "No rules, no school, just fun," Lampwick said. Pinocchio's eyes lit up with excitement. Momo hesitated but followed to protect him. The island was full of candy, games, and laughter. But soon, strange things started happening. Boys began turning into donkeys. Pinocchio's ears turned floppy, and his tail grew. "What's happening to me?" he cried. Momo pulled him away. "We have to leave now." They ran and escaped just in time. "I didn't know fun could turn into trouble," Pinocchio said. "Fun without rules always has a price," Momo replied. They hurried home, but Geppetto wasn't there. He had gone to sea looking for Pinocchio. Pinocchio felt awful. "He was only trying to help me," Momo said. "Then let's help him now." They sailed into the ocean together. A storm hit, and waves crashed over their boat. Suddenly, a giant whale swallowed them whole. Inside the whale's belly, They found Geppetto alive but tired. Pinocchio ran into his arms. "I'm sorry for all the trouble," Pinocchio said with tears. Geppetto smiled and forgave him. "Let's find a way out," Momo said bravely. They made a fire, and the smoke made the whale sneeze. With a giant whoosh, they flew out of the whale's mouth. They splashed into the sea, holding each other tightly. A dolphin helped carry them back to shore. The sun was rising as they reached home. That night, the fairy appeared once more. "You have proven your heart is true," she said. With one gentle wave of her wand, Pinocchio's wooden body glowed. He turned into a real boy, soft and warm. Geppetto cried with joy. Momo danced around the room. Pinocchio looked at his hands in wonder. "I'll never lie again," he said softly. The house filled with laughter, hugs, and light. A family had finally become whole. Moral of the story: being honest, brave, and kind may not be easy, but it always leads you home.
More rhymes, more stories, more smiles. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Momotales.